The United Kingdom is facing an economic nightmare. As the economy slows, entire regions are on the brink of mass job losses. From high unemployment to failing industries, some areas are already feeling the devastating effects. Here are the 10 regions in the United Kingdom facing the worst job losses as the crisis deepens. Yorkshire and the Humber has been grappling with significant economic challenges in recent years. The region's gross regional domestic product growth stood at -0.8% in the most recent data, indicating a contraction in economic output. This sluggish economic performance has translated into higher vulnerability to job losses, particularly in industries like manufacturing and retail, which are prominent in the region. Additionally, Yorkshire and the Humber has a relatively higher unemployment rate compared to the national average, further exacerbating the region's job market woes. Regional productivity also lags behind other parts of the United Kingdom, meaning that fewer jobs are being created at a sustainable rate to match population growth. The combination of lower productivity, economic stagnation, and a workforce with fewer opportunities has created a precarious environment for workers. For those in lower wage or less secure industries, such as manufacturing and public services, the risks of layoffs and reduced working hours are particularly high. Areas like Hull, Sheffield, and Bradford, which already face high levels of deprivation, are among the worst affected. As the economy slows, these cities could see more job cuts, further widening the gap between these regions and more prosperous parts of the United Kingdom. The East Midlands is experiencing its own set of economic struggles, with the most recent gross regional domestic product growth standing at -1.1%, the largest regional decline in the UK. This negative growth rate highlights an ongoing issue with economic stagnation in the region. The East Midlands has a significant presence in manufacturing and retail sectors, both of which have faced immense challenges in recent years due to automation, changing consumer habits, and global supply chain disruptions. Slower economic growth in the region often correlates with fewer job opportunities, as businesses are hesitant to expand or create new positions during times of uncertainty. This has resulted in an increase in the risk of layoffs and reduced hiring. The effects of this are particularly visible in cities such as Nottingham, Derby, and Leicester, which are struggling with higher than average unemployment rates. In these areas, job losses are expected to accelerate as companies grapple with rising costs and diminishing consumer demand. Low-skilled workers in these cities are especially vulnerable to job cuts, and without significant investment in skills development and infrastructure, many could be left behind in the wake of the economic slowdown. Despite historically being one of the United Kingdom's more prosperous regions, South East England is now facing troubling signs of economic stress. The region has posted gross regional domestic product growth of -1.0%, a clear indication that even traditionally strong economies are not immune to the broader economic slowdown. While areas like Reading, Oxford, and Brighton have thrived in recent years, much of the region is beginning to see negative growth in key sectors, including finance, technology, and public services. These industries, which have long been economic drivers for the South East, are starting to experience layoffs and downsizing as companies look to cut costs in the face of economic uncertainty. Additionally, high costs of living in the South East, particularly in cities close to London, have led to a migration of workers seeking more affordable housing and job opportunities elsewhere. This migration has contributed to weaker local economies, leaving behind a growing demand for fewer jobs in certain sub-regions. While the South East as a whole remains economically stronger than many other parts of the United Kingdom, negative growth signals trouble ahead for both the job market and economic stability. The risk of further layoffs in sectors such as finance and technology, alongside growing housing affordability issues, leave the region exposed to significant challenges. London, historically the economic powerhouse of the UK, is now facing signs of strain as the broader national economic slowdown begins to take its toll. The gross regional domestic product growth in the capital stands at a modest -0.6% in the most recent data, far lower than the average growth seen in previous years. London is also grappling with a sharp decline in job postings, down by 22.5% compared to the pre-pandemic baseline, according to the Indeed hiring lab. This signals a decrease in hiring activity across the city, which has long been the beating heart of the UK economy, particularly in sectors like finance, technology, and media. The financial sector, which has traditionally been a major employer in London, is now facing challenges due to global economic uncertainties and rising operational costs. Similarly, the tech sector is also experiencing a slowdown as investment dries up and companies look to reduce costs. Job losses in London are increasingly likely, especially in industries that rely heavily on international trade and global markets. The city's high costs and exposure make it particularly vulnerable. Cost of living, combined with the slowdown in the job market, is pushing many workers to reconsider their positions, leading to an outflow of talent. The combination of these factors makes London particularly vulnerable to widespread job losses and a prolonged economic downturn. South West England is also experiencing significant economic challenges, with gross regional domestic product growth of -0.6%, reflecting a lack of economic momentum in the region. This decline is particularly concerning because the Southwest relies heavily on industries such as tourism, hospitality, and agriculture, all of which have been hit hard by ongoing economic pressures. The tourism and hospitality sectors have been especially vulnerable during the pandemic and have not fully recovered, leaving thousands of jobs at risk. As economic conditions worsen, consumer spending on non-essential goods and services, like vacations and dining out, is expected to decline even further. Cornwall, Devon, and Somerset are already facing rising unemployment in these sectors, with many small businesses struggling to stay afloat. As the region faces fewer job opportunities in these traditionally important industries, the impact of job losses could be more pronounced, with fewer economic alternatives to cushion the blow. A blow to vulnerable populations in rural areas of the Southwest, especially those dependent on low-skilled work, could lead to significant employment instability. This growing uncertainty adds to the challenge of rebuilding a balanced economy and addressing the region's labor market vulnerabilities. The East of England has been experiencing gross regional domestic product growth of -0.2%, indicating that the region is not immune to the broader slowdown affecting the UK economy. While this decline may seem modest compared to some other regions, the implications for employment are significant. The East of England is home to a diverse economy, but key sectors such as technology, public services, and agriculture could face headwinds as growth slows. The region is also heavily reliant on Cambridge and Norfolk, where industries like biotechnology and advanced manufacturing have traditionally driven economic growth. However, even these sectors, which have been relatively insulated from previous economic downturns, are now showing signs of vulnerability. With a decrease in investment, tighter budgets, and a slowdown in demand, many businesses in these sectors may be forced to scale back operations. Consequently, the job market in the East of England could experience further layoffs and job insecurity, particularly in regions dependent on technology and research industries. As growth stagnates and opportunities for new business creation dwindle, the region faces growing economic uncertainty, and jobs may become more widespread in both high-skilled and low-skilled sectors. The West Midlands is grappling with gross regional domestic product growth of -0.1%, highlighting the challenges the region is facing as the UK economy slows. The West Midlands has long been known for its strong manufacturing sector, with cities like Birmingham and Coventry serving as historical hubs for automobile production, engineering, and heavy industry. However, as the global economy shifts toward automation and low-carbon technologies, the region's traditional manufacturing base is under severe pressure. The decline in these sectors could lead to substantial job losses in industries that once employed large numbers of workers. The automobile industry, for example, has already seen significant job cuts as companies like Jaguar Land Rover reduce their workforce. While efforts to diversify the region's economy are underway, the transition from a manufacturing-driven economy to a more service-based one is not without its challenges. The slowdown in economic activity and the contraction in manufacturing output are likely to put additional strain on local job markets, particularly for those in low-skilled roles. This makes the West Midlands vulnerable to a rising unemployment rate as the region's key industries slow down. Wales is facing its own set of economic challenges, with gross regional domestic product growth recorded at -0.4%. This slower economic growth reflects the broader trend of declining economic performance, which has had a direct impact on the job market in certain parts of the country. The Welsh economy is diverse, but much of it still relies on traditional industries such as mining, manufacturing, and agriculture, all of which have been in decline for years. Despite efforts to modernize the economy and promote new sectors like technology and tourism, the region continues to struggle with higher levels of inactivity and vulnerability in the labor market. In particular, areas such as South Wales and North Wales face high unemployment rates, with fewer job opportunities available for those without higher-level qualifications or skills. The Welsh economy also faces challenges related to regional inequalities, where some areas are much more vulnerable to job losses than others. The combination of slow economic growth, high levels of economic inactivity, and a lack of job creation puts the region at significant risk. Scotland faces a risk of even further economic hardship in the coming years, especially for workers in low-wage or low-skill jobs. GRDP growth in Scotland is -0.1%, which highlights the economic slowdown affecting much of the country. Although Scotland has seen growth in some sectors, such as technology, energy, and financial services, the region is not immune to the broader job market weakening. The oil and gas industry, which has been a significant contributor to Scotland's economy, has also been hit hard by global market fluctuations, causing job losses in energy-dependent regions like Aberdeen. Additionally, there has been a decrease in job vacancies and growing concern about the sustainability of Scotland's economy as growth slows. Areas with higher concentrations of manufacturing and public sector employment, such as Glasgow, could see cuts to public service roles as budgets tighten. The combined impact of reduced demand, sectoral shifts, and global uncertainties means Scotland could face significant job losses in industries once considered stable, leading to increased unemployment in certain regions. The northwest of England is another region facing challenges in the current economic climate. Reported weak growth at 0.0%. While this suggests that the region's economy is not in outright decline, it indicates a lack of momentum and growth. Historically, the Northwest has had a strong manufacturing base, with cities like Manchester, Liverpool, and Preston serving as key industrial hubs. However, as manufacturing and traditional industries have been outsourced or automated, many areas in the region are struggling to replace those jobs with new opportunities. The high unemployment rate in certain parts of the Northwest, coupled with the region's reliance on sectors such as retail, hospitality, and public services, puts it at significant risk as the economy slows further. These sectors, which are often vulnerable to shifts in consumer behavior, could see further layoffs and closures. The slow growth rate and persistent economic inequality across the region mean that the Northwest is unlikely to recover as quickly as other parts of the UK, and further job losses in vulnerable sectors are a very real concern in the coming months. Stay informed on the economic shifts hitting the UK. Subscribe now and get the latest updates before it is too late.